Of course, we can make our pages to look a little bit better than just having a header and a couple of texts and images. We could use color and image backgrounds to enhance our page. Okay. Firstly, let's talk about the properties and values that we're going to use within the CSS. So we can declare the color and the image backgrounds, and first would be the color property. As we can see here, I've already declared a couple of classes with different kind of names. As you remember from our last lesson, the names can be something that would be logical and would be easy to understand, not only for you but probably other people that will work maybe later on your code. So in this regard, I've just name my class BJ color, which stands for background color. Now this class will apply a color background, and to do so we have used a property called background color, as you can see here. And the background color specifies the background color of an element, basically any element, almost any element within the XHTML page, and it works very well with the container elements such as HTML or body. In this first example, we have used the background color property with the value gray. So obviously I can use names to imply the color that I would like to have as background. So let's see first how this actually works. Let's just save it. Let's go back to our code, and let's target the body container. Just place. Let's type in the class. Okay, and we said it's BG color. Now let's save it. Let's go back to our page and refresh, and there you go. Now we have a color background. So in this case, the class that we have declared here as BJ color class, it applies the color gray for our element body. This is the way that we specify the exact element that we want to target. Of course, we might just as well have used the element targeting, right? We could say color, sorry, background color. Color, let's say orange. Let's just save it, go back, and let's delete the class for a second here. So we save it, and we have declared here the element body that takes the color orange. We save it and go back and refresh, and of course it applies the color of the background. So as you can see, we could target the element itself as declared here, or specify a class for the element. Just let this for now. Let's use the gray again. Let's go back and undo our business here, save it, go back and refresh. Now, as I've said, we could use naming to target the value for the background property. Of course, this is not the only way that we could do it. If you have opened the this file, which you'll find it in the 14 background color and image folder, and it would be this one, color names and codes PNG. Now in this image I have placed a couple of colors. 3 of them would be the white, black and gray values, and the rest of them, which are 7 by the number, would be red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo and violet. And you probably have guessed by now, it's the rainbow colors. Of course you'd be wondering why the white, black and gray are not actually appearing here. Well, the reason is that the white, black and gray are obtained by using a composition out of 3 basic colors, and that would be red, green and blue. And as you can see here, we also have a RGB color for the stated name color, and that would be a second way we can implement a color. And then we have the hexadecimal color, which is basically another way to to show it as a color. Of course, I'm not going to go very deep right now about the way that the colors are displayed by using hexadecimal or RGB. I'm just going to tell you one thing. If you want to use a color and you do not know the name, or you do not really have the values as RGB or hexadecimal, just use graphic software like Adobe Photoshop. Print screen your color, import it in Photoshop, and then with the picker just pick your color, and you'll find out the values in RGB and hexadecimal and a few other like lab and cyan, yellow, magenta and black. For now, let's just talk about these ones. And as you remember, we've used here background color gray. Let's use the other 2 type values and see if they work. Let's use RGB, and the RGB has 3 values, which one stands for the red, the second one for the green, and the third one for the blue. And by combining these 3 values in different amounts, we get this gray color. So let's see how this actually works. And we will say background color RGB, and we have a semicolon. These 2 are parentheses, and within the parentheses we type in the value for red, green and blue, separated by a comma. So we have value for red, green and blue. Let's just delete this one because we do not actually need it any longer. Save it. Let's go back and refresh, and of course the color is pretty much the same because we're using the right values. And let's use also the hexadecimal one. Just going to paste it because I already typed in advance. And we have the background color as hexadecimal, and the hexadecimal value would be formed out of the number sign, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 values. Okay, if I save it and refresh, I'm going to notice that the background color is pretty much the same. Of course, we could test also the other ones. Let's say we want to place the orange one, and that would be FF7F00. So place FF, what was it? 7F00. 7F00. Save it. Let's go back and refresh, and we have an orange background. So this is the way that you could use the property and value of the background color to imply actually a background color for the page itself or for an element. We'll see later on that we could use this value on a different array of container elements. Of course, you can go ahead and play with the rest of the colors, and you can test them all and see how they actually look. Okay, so we've talked about the color backgrounds. Now let's talk about the color image. And for that, we are going to go back to our CSS file first, and we are going to take this class which I already pre-made, bg image, and we're going back to our code, and instead of bj color we're gonna say bj image. I'm going to save it. Let's go back and refresh. As you can see, after refresh, the background color was replaced by our background image, and the reason for which this happened is that our bj image class does not contain the background color attribute. And of course, at this point you'll be wondering if it's possible to also use background color at the same time with the background image, and the answer would be yes, it is possible. I'm just going to copy paste it here, save it, and go back and refresh. Of course, the instance we did that, our background color is here, and we have also the image. And at this point you can also notice that the background color is actually behind the background image. They're both treated as background properties, only that the background image has a higher stack than the background color. So this is the behavior that you will actually encounter. It's not something abnormal, because it's actually perfectly normal to be this way. Most of the time you will want an image to be in front of background color, so it makes perfectly sense. At this point I do not really want this color. I'm just going to take it out for now. Just want a crisp white background color. And by the way, the white background color is the default color for a document, unless another background color is stated. Sorry. Now, as you can see, this background image at this point is aligned to your left and top browser, actually to the page, and it's not actually repeating in any way. It's just one time and it's there. So let's take a look at the way that we actually imported the image firstly, and what are the rest of the properties doing for it. So if we want to call up the image, we will have to use the background image property, and the value would be URL and the path towards it. So this is the way you're going to use it. You type in URL, then you have the parentheses that contain the path, which is between two quotes, okay, double quotes. And of course, always at the end, do not forget to use the semicolon to end up the property and value all together, okay? The second one would be the background repeat. At this point, the background repeat is set at no repeat, which instead means no repeat. If I am to completely delete this and save it, I'm going to refresh, the default would be to repeat, and it will repeat on X and Y axis, and that would be horizontal and vertical axis. Just going to undo for now. Save it. And of course this background repeat, as you can see here in my comment, it says it can be as repeat, which as I said is by default, and if I save it and go back and refresh, it will repeat on X and Y, which is horizontal and vertical. If I'm going to say repeat X, that would be, as you probably already guessed, it's only on the horizontal. It will repeat, of course. If I'm going to say on Y, it will going to repeat on vertical. And if I'm going to say inherit, at this point we'll just use it as repeat, because inherit, that means the default, and the inherit is it's a value that tells to the browser that the targeted element that contains the background repeat property with the value inherit to actually inherit the property of the background repeat as is stated in a higher element, in a element that is actually a parent to the element that we've targeted. And if the element has a different type of settings to this property, it will be applied. In our case, our body is the element. Let's say if I would have had on my HTML element, just going to copy paste. So this would make perfectly good sense, because probably at this point you're going to say, oh my god, I didn't get anything. So if I'm going to say here repeat X, okay, I'm having the HTML, and remember the HTML, it is the root document in our case, and it contains everything else including the head and body. That means if I'm going to go back and refresh, my body element, which has the background repeat as inherit, it will actually have the background repeat X. Okay, so it's inheriting the background repeat property and value. Of course, you'll be wondering why the hell I'm actually showing the image. Well, the reason would be that the image here is stated it within the body element, and the reason for which it appears is that the document, the HTML document, when it's rendered, it's actually a collection of properties and values which are summed up by reading all the properties and values declared within the classes within the CSS. So you could have one element having to load an image as background, and another element having to actually format the way that the image will render. So in our case, we said in HTML element that we want any kind of image that is stated as background to repeat only on horizontal, and then within the body we load the image that would be rendered. So I'm kind of hoping at this point this actually would make sense to you. So we have the HTML, and we said, okay, everything, any image that loads will be repeated as X, of course as background, and then we loaded the image in the background image. So this is the way that the background repeat as inherit will will behave. The next one will be the background attachment, which also has an inherit, and it will behave with the inherit the same way that the background repeat will behave as stated within inherited. I'm sorry. I'm just going to delete for now this one because we're not going to need it. And I'm going to say at this point no repeat. Okay, so I'm going to back end, save it. And now let's take a look on the background attachment property. As I've said, now it's on fixed, so that means the background attachment will not move. Obviously it can also move, scroll up and down, but to actually see this we need a little bit more content. So first I'm just going to go here and uncomment all this long selection of paragraphs. You can see here, I'm just going to save it and go back and refresh. So as I said, if I am going to scroll the content now, I'm going to see that my background image is fixed. So the background attachment tells to the page how the image attached will behave, if it will scroll with the content or it will be fixed. In our case, at this point is fixed. So if I'm going to go back here and we'll say scroll, I'm going to save it, go back and refresh, and now I'm going to scroll the page for the content. You'll notice that the image also scrolls with the content, with the entire page. Okay, so this is what the background attachment does. Of course, I'm going to say for now fixed. I'm going to undo the last command, which was to delete the comment. I'm going to save it and go back and refresh, because at this point we do not need the content any longer. And we're going to talk about the last background property, and that would be the background position, which will tell the image where in the page is positioned. It can be on the left or on the right, can be on the top or on the bottom, or anywhere in the center. So this is the way it's going to work. So we have the background position, then we have two values separated by space between them. The first one will control the position on the vertical, and that would be top, center. Oh, there's a mistake here, it's center. Obviously it's center, it's top, center and bottom. And the second value would be for the horizontal alignment, and that would be left, center and right. And now it is top and left, as you can see here. So it's aligning to the top left corner. Let's change the top with center and see what happens. Okay, so we changed the alignment on the vertical. We can change it, of course, here as well, center, and we have the image centered, of course, which is more than great for us. Of course, you can play around with the values and see what happens. And we have now aligned it to the right side, on the bottom. Of course, we can place it on the top again, and the right side, of course. You see, this is the way we are going to use this one. Now, of course, there is one way you can also specify, would be, of course, another way, as percentage, which is something I forgot to type in, and that would be, if I'm typing here 50% with 50%, and that would be the vertical and horizontal values, I'm just going to say here vertical, so we would know, and that would be horizontal again. So I know that those are for horizontal and those are for vertical. So we tell to the browser to load the page as 50% from the top and 50% from the left, and of course you've guessed that means it will be aligned to the center of the page, and that is like telling the page align center. Of course you can play around with these values to your liking, 10%, and you get some kind of wacky weird values. And there is one more value, so we know what's this, right? Vertical, and this would be horizontal. So we have one more value, and that would be in pixels. And of course we could say here 300 pixels by, I don't know, 500 pixels. It's good for me. Go back and refresh. Of course the image goes well beyond outside our page because we told it to just move in 500 pixels from the top, and then it goes outside the page and we cannot see it at this point. Okay, well, this would be a very weird idea. Now if we place 200, or let's place here 50. Well, this is the way the background position as well works. Now at this point I would like to show you a couple of more things, especially regarding of what's going to happen if I am going to have a larger image that goes well beyond outside my document. And for that I'm going to imply this image. Just going to copy the name, just the big one, it's in the images folder. Going to go back here, going to paste it, save it. I'm going to change the position again to just top left. Going to leave it like this. Back and refresh. Obviously the image is way bigger. If I want to know how big it is, I'm just going to right click and say view background image. While I'm going to left click on it, I'm going to also hold Ctrl and Shift at the same time, and then left click on the view background image. The image will open in a new tab, as background tab. As you can see here, we have the full extent of the image. If I'm going to zoom, I'm going to see it's a little bit bigger, right? And it goes outside the document bounds. Now in my document it's showing only a part. Of course I cannot scroll it, nor I can zoom in or zoom out. That's because it's treated as a background image. However, I can control its position, and I can do this by feathering around with the top and left position. And let's see what happens if I am going to use it here, right? So at this point, with this setting top left, my image is loading starting from the upper left corner towards the other side of the page, and the bottom and the right side gets trimmed out, or actually is not showed within the pages. See, as you can see here, probably this part goes well outside. If I'm going to change it from left to right and save it and then refresh, then my my other side, the left side, gets trimmed a little bit and goes outside, and we see the full extent of the right side. Of course, you'll probably guess what's going to happen if I'm going to also use bottom right. And I'm going back to refresh, and we get this. Basically, the image goes up a little bit. We do not see a part of the upper side, and then it's aligned to the bottom side of the page. This would be the behavior of the page. Of course, I can play with these things and say center. Go back and refresh. Of course, my image is centered now, and I'm not going to see a part of the left side and on the right side. However, it's centered. So if I'm going to see here and say again center, obviously the image will be centered. Okay, and it's get trimmed out all around. So this is the way it's actually behaving. Okay, and top, actually what? Left, my bad, or right, couple of things. So this is the way you are going to use the background most of the times. Okay, of course, if I am going to go back here and uncomment these paragraphs, save and go back and refresh, now what you'll notice is that my image still gets trimmed. However, I see the content, I can scroll, and of course, if you remember, if I am going to go to this one and say scroll instead of X, go back and refresh, you'll guess what is actually going to happen. Of course, more or less, it's happening also something else right here. You will not see the top part of the image, and I'll explain why in a second. But the most important thing is that the image now gets scrolled along with the page. And the reason for it to have a white space here is that my content at this point is bigger than the image in terms of height, and because our image is not going to repeat and it's aligned to the bottom side of our content, actually page, right, then the upper part is going to be filled with just basically white color, basically nothing. It's the inherited color. If I would have had the other setting, it will be top, say left this time, and refresh, the image will be aligned to top and left, and it's going to scroll down, and then we're going to have some empty space around here. Well guys, this is pretty much it with the images and color as backgrounds. So please experiment some more settings if you like. You can even change the color of the text. Of course, sometimes if the text is not rendered well, you might just as well go here and change it to white. This is the XHTML for white. Refresh, and my text is white. Of course, it's not the best choice by far because we don't have here as well. But please go ahead and play with the settings and see what you come up with on your own.